Thank you for joining us. This is part of a series of events we run across the year on hot topics within the marketing industry. And it's really designed for both brands, brand owners, and agency folk. For those that don't know me, my name is Stephen Knight. I'm the CEO and founder of Pimento. For those that don't know Pimento, we're an independent network of 175 agencies and consultants, all independent agencies in their space, offering something like 97 at last count, different disciplines. And we work with brands and agencies both here and around the world. As you already know, we're recording today's session, so please turn on your camera, smile throughout, and remember to use the chat box to ask any questions. I want to try and make this as interactive as possible. We've got a great panel and they're here to answer your questions. So it's part therapy, part education, and help and support. The session today, you'll be pleased to know, isn't going to be facilitated by me. It's going to be facilitated by somebody who knows what they're talking about, which is Vinny Hayes. Vinny Hayes is the founder of Maverick Partners. It's a digital, he describes himself as a digital industry veteran, which I guess in the world of tech applies to anyone over the age of 40. He's over 20 years experience building agencies and helping brands build and evolve their digital capabilities. And he helps organizations leverage cutting through technologies, harnessing data-driven insights to optimize their and their customers' digital experiences. So smart bloke, knows a lot. John Ray, also smart bloke, knows a lot, is the CEO and founder of Rewrite Digital. They're a strategic consultancy, and John helps clients keep pace with the world of digital and the world of digital change. He has established a proprietary system for scoring the digital maturity and effectiveness of organizations with a comprehensive measurement tool that adapts as digital does. It enables organizations to benchmark with their peers, their competitors, and to reevaluate their scores over time. As we know, digital doesn't stand still. So really interesting use of technology there, John. John has developed and executed digital strategies for the likes of Team GB, Lloyds of London, IKEA, William Grant & Sons, Central UK Government, and the Tourism Board of New Zealand. Very wide and ranging of clients there. Radik is the CEO of Adamap. He's the CEO and co-founder of the software house that is Adamap. With a rich background in digital product development spanning over a decade, Radik has successfully collaborated with various organizations from large corporations to scale-ups, and his passion lies in bringing more transparency into the world of technology, where he believes in fostering open communications and transparent processes. Carl UMINSKI is the partner at CI&T. Carl leads the expansion of global digital powerhouse that is CI&T, a large organization. He's responsible for the EMEA region, Europe, Middle East, and Africa, and he focuses on innovation and sustainable growth. He has 20 years experience. He's a trailblazer in the technology industry and massively undersells how brilliant he is in his bio. And finally, Hannah. So pleased to have Hannah speak at this. She is the founder of H Labs. H Labs was founded in 2020. It's a London-based creative strategy agency that loves designing bespoke interactive experiences, solving problems, inspiring teams, streamlining processes, and most importantly, always driving creative excellence. So there you have it. I think an august panel today with some really smart people who know their stuff with global experience. I'm going to hand over to Vinny, and then we'll pull everybody on the panel into view, and I shall quietly go about my business and move myself in the background. Here we go.
Lovely. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you for the lovely warm introduction. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this session this morning. Thank you very much for joining us. I do want to make it as interactive as possible, so please do, if you've got any questions, do lob them into the chat, and then we'll moderate them as we go through. So the first question, obviously, the panel session today, the question is digital transformation dead? So I guess we should probably start there. So maybe we start with you, John. Give us your view from a Rewrite Digital perspective.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Digital transformation is not dead. It's sort of changed. Really, it's a bit of a moving target. I think everyone has done something in digital, but because things are changing quite a lot, it's continually something that people need to think about, and it comes back to the definition of digital as well. For us, it's much more than technology or marketing. It's everything in your business and your people. and it's your ability as a business to adapt to technology, which, as I say, is always evolving, and then how you adopt it, how accessible it is, and what your consumers are expecting.
Brilliant. That's really interesting. Carl, just from a global perspective, obviously CI&T is a big global business. Have you got a viewpoint?
Yeah, thanks, Vinny. Good morning, everybody. I think from our point of view, the transformation era is now basically finished. We've been through a huge amount of transformation, a huge amount of money being spent, and people not really realizing why they're doing it or what the reason is for. I think as at last year, we moved into an efficiency era where people are really looking at how do we now get the most out of our digital, of what we've already invested in, what we've done, because ultimately the customer's already moved on. And the customers moved on, and that's whether it's enterprise, B2B, B2C. So therefore now you've got to look at how you serve your customer in the right way. From a global perspective, we're probably seeing pretty similar trends everywhere, I'd say. There used to be very big differences in different areas. I'd say, when you look at Asia and areas around there, you've got very different payments and different trends there, like LATAM as well. Well, say North America and UK and Europe, similar sort of trends in that way. Obviously, Europe also has different speeds and forms in terms of transformation as well.
Thank you. Brad, coming to you, obviously Adamap is another international business with operations around the world. How are you seeing things?
So morning, everyone. It's great to be here today. I see that especially in the corporate world, it's like a very often very overused word. Digital transformation. I agree with Carl that was like spending a lot of money within, let's say, last over the few years, and not always it brings the results. So I think what is always important for a company with any like a bigger projects, and now it's not just several years project, but 6, 9, 12 months, like align 3 core things around this transformation. It's always one is the technology, how to leverage current trends around, big data, AI, cloud computing, etc. Secondly, it's always important to be connected with your own people and the culture and so on, because it has a big impact as well. And the third part, it has always impact on your business processes. And it's always important when you do any kind of new project or transformation project to be to care about all these 3 parts, because if you just didn't do it properly, it will be not working. So and I agree with Carl that we are really moving a lot to the efficiency and in this area, and this is something what also our clients are the most interesting at the moment.
Okay, interesting. Hannah, just coming to you. I mean, how are you seeing transformation changing in your
my company's only been going for 3 years, so like transformation happens every day at our business. Just to give everyone a bit of understanding, like our average project length is about 3 to 4 days. So every single thing we do, we have to look at efficiencies. I agree, Carl, I'll take your efficiency word, because that's one of the things we're focusing on. But I think with our clients, we have to constantly look at how to introduce new tech into, whether it's our HR process. We're using FigJam boards for our personal development boards. We're using Trello to make sure that we're using, that kind of communication instantly overnight, because we work with the US. And when it comes down to the digital technologies we're using no-code development tools to streamline the process overall. So my whole business is set around transforming every day. So when I got asked to do this panel, I wasn't really sure what the topic was, because I thought that's just what you did every day. So it's a little bit different to some of the heritage thoughts on this one, but yeah, innovate every day, right?
Absolutely. So if we take it back to a client, and obviously there's a lot of agency folk on the panel and on the on this call as well. Where should a client start? Who wants to pick this one up first? Carl? John?
I can say from my perspective, I mean, all organizations are at some state of digital maturity, from those starting out to those pushing the boundaries of what's possible. The challenge, I think, that's out there, and we've seen it in recent years and continue to do so, is that the gap is increasing between those who are sort of taking advantage of it. And Hannah, in your example, as a sort of new business, you obviously start in a very digital way, but a lot of businesses struggle or take a long time to sort of make those sort of bigger changes to their business. But the other thing we say about digital maturity is we say effectiveness as well, and it's not just about digital for the sake of it. There's no point doing a mobile app, for example, if you're just trying to sort of stay up with the latest technology. You need to actually do things that add value to your business and affect your commercial objectives. So our framework that Stephen mentioned is a way of measuring not just maturity but effectiveness, and that's the first place to start for a client. We've got a tiered approach that starts from sort of simple surveys and public information through to in-depth workshops and analysis of internal systems and intelligence to actually determine what that level is, and then based on that level we can help clients in the best way to grow their maturity.
Okay, that's really interesting. I think hopefully we can just pull up the answers to the first question that everyone answered when they come in as we cover this topic. Carl, you're at the other end of the extreme with your business. Where do you guys kick off with customers? How do you sort of benchmark where they are and how you can start helping them?
I mean, thanks. So we're working with large global brands like Audi, Vanguard, Johnson & Johnson, Coca-Cola, and others like that. I'd say the number one thing for me is alignment and ensuring that the board, the C-suite, everybody's aligned on what you have to do and where you want to go. Because I think where we were 5, 6, 7 years ago, the marketing department would do something, the IT department would do something, and so on, and just basically you ended up with chaos and or spending a lot of money without a lot of results. So for me is alignment. I think then you've got culture, and I think culture is really important within a business, that the people are not only aligned, but also they have the same shared values and where you want to head as a business. When you have these things, you can then, the way I put it is get on with it. I don't like to spend too much time talking about where we're going to go with transformation or going with any form of digital, but start making early, start doing stuff. Don't spend ages writing scopes and documents. Get developers in and start coding, start designing, and actually get on with it, because you'll learn more in those 12 weeks than you would talking about it in that time there. And that's the thing for me, is assemble a team, make sure you're aligned, and make sure you have the right culture to move forward.
Okay, really interesting. Hannah, coming back to you, when you're obviously slightly different with H Labs in terms of the way you work and what you deliver. How do you sort of kick off with customers and get them pointing in the right direction?
It's quite an interesting one, because we work a lot with the publishers, so it's quite funny. When I started the business, Vogue was our biggest account. We started straight away with A/B testing. It was taking like each KPI for them, individually, and I think through storytelling, using no-code platforms, being able to prototype things super fast, those A/B tests were ready to go in like 3 weeks. So we had like results about including sound bites in your material, increasing use of video. We tested like dark backgrounds versus light backgrounds to see if people were, reading the content more. And within a 6-week sprint, we increased our engagement on articles by 14%. And it's that kind of thing that you just can't wait for some of those development rounds to take as long as they do, because it's the actual testing bit up front to try a lot of things. So to Carl's point, it's get going and try something with your own marketing, and that's what we do. So all of that research is why the new website we've got coming out has a dark background, it has sound bites, it has all of that immersive video stuff, because we found that researching it for a client, we've applied it to our own thing, and our product pages now get 7 minutes engagement on a single page, and that's because it's been tested on prototypes that were created in 2-3 days. So I think with our clients, it's trying to get their data from them really early on. Some platforms, if you're using Google Analytics, you've got 2 weeks to change over to the new G4. But again, like it's you need that data in front of you to be making good decisions on. And I think for us and our publishers, it's amazing how many of them don't have good, reliable data. I think we just did a trip and 83% of my clients said they needed help with data. So it's about that foundation part, right? Get some data, if any, to start making decisions on, because if you've got nothing to track it against when you try this stuff, how are you going to know if it's working? So I think, yeah, look at what data you've got, even if it's a very small amount, and just try stuff. To Carl's point, just get on and do some stuff and play around, because it's going to give you better results sooner.
Interesting, yeah. The old fail fast. Here's some answers to the polls that have popped up for you. So just looking at this first question, which was around you or your client, if you're an agency, where they are on their journey. Well, the good news is everyone seems to have started. And then if you look through it, I think what's interesting is very few believe that they are at the vanguard of their industry in terms of leading. Some are relatively mature, but actually there's a huge, over half the poll here is clearly on the journey, and therefore needs constant help and support. And I think the interesting thing from everyone's perspective is that all our clients are changing on a daily basis as they respond to the environmental and economic environment that's going on at the moment. Radek, if we come back to you, what would be interesting is how you guys sort of focus on sort of growing your clients and developing them, and what tactics you use to help them on these journeys.
Okay, so I think for us, because we are developing digital products over the decade, and we see some different trends, etc. But we have a lot of conversation from almost each of our clients about how to adopt AI, and a lot of questions around generative AI for their business and so on. Because to be honest, I think it's a little bit is a lot of mess in this area, and just people don't know where to start. We always trying to support them in a way that they can start with some small steps internally. Yeah, so onboard leadership team, onboard their employees, and start to testing relatively simply stuff with the ChatGPT-4, etc. If you are in agency business, you can utilize it, for example, in a research. You can utilize it when you are preparing RFP, etc. Some presentations and this type of stuff. And it can be like a simple steps to start, because after this, it can be also like a much more easier to communicate with your clients. So yeah, so we have a lot of this conversation, and we are going back to the efficiency. So what we see, there is big interest about how to utilize the, let's say, tech stack or the digital products we already have, rather than to build something from the scratch. And so we have like a lot of this type of conversations.
Okay, interesting. John, how do you work with clients?
Yeah, I mean, it's quite interesting on that data to see that a lot of people are still got a long way to go in terms of progression. But it's reassuring about the AI question that people are experimenting with it. Even if they don't know what that's going to do for them. I think there's a lot of technologies here that follow a very similar trajectory. That people will explore and play with stuff. I think the latest sort of examples of generative AI are very accessible. People can get their hands on it and play around with it very easily. So that's a great place to start for clients. And I think the difference here with that kind of technology is it can be seen as much more applicable to people's businesses than, say, the metaverse, where people struggle a bit to sort of see the applicability of that. But generative AI, in terms of like creating efficiencies and so on, is very obvious to people. So I think finding ways in which people can do something right for them is important, because there's so much out there and it can be a bit bewildering, and not everything is appropriate for everybody. So it's finding the things that actually make a difference, that are within reach of our clients is really what we help to educate them on.
Okay, interesting. You the AI, generative AI words come up, so I suppose we might as well tackle this. I know it's obviously a huge topic. I guess question for the panel here is, we've gone through a few hype curves over the years. Back in 2011, 2012, it was AR and then VR, and we've gone through crypto and the metaverse and Web3. Is generative AI a hype? Are we going to be talking about this in the past tense in 18 months, 24 months, or, is this actually a game changer? I don't know who wants to kick off.
I don't mind taking just the short one, but on John's point, it has to be relevant for your business. And I think for us, like, we have like stand up every single morning. We have our team like bring innovation or inspiration to the group, and so on Tech Tuesdays we talk about new technologies on there. So every single like AI version on LinkedIn, we've kind of had a look at and gone, okay, well, what's actually going to be relevant for our business? And it was something last week that we actually had it use. Really great use case for one of our clients. So we're working with a new gaming client in India, and with stock imagery, it doesn't represent their diversity or inclusion policies that they want to do. And so we were trying to brief a photographer to say, okay, these are the type of shots we want. So we actually used AI to generate that kind of diversity in the office settings that they wanted, instead of old white dudes in a in an office. Again, it was really, really helpful for them to see it used to show their diversity and stuff. So again, it's finding the right use cases to do it. But again, for me personally, I'm just doing it to shorten emails because I'm very wordy. So again, you can copy and paste in a whole email and go shorten this to something people are going to read. That's the best use case for me at the minute, but that's how I'm using it.
Oh, really good, very good. Carl?
Yeah, I think for me, it fundamentally changes everything. The game is completely being reset now, and everything goes obviously through hype curves in the standard hype curves we all known for many years. But this is a key moment where AI is not new. We've had AI for years, and we've had elements of data, bigger data, machine learning, and so on. But this point now where we've hit the point of the large language models, which has enabled ultimately what you see, most people see as ChatGPT 4, completely changes what we're able to do across everything in the business. And I say on one side is efficiency within companies, and there's a lot around that. Give you an example, I've got over 1,000 people now working on generative AI. We've got 5 big global brands we've been trialing with, which we'll be talking about soon when we can. And I'm seeing at least 30 to 50% efficiency on development. So that is a developer is now worth 2 developers as an example there for what we can do. And then on the other side, we're looking at use cases, and there's going to be thousands of SaaS products available. There already are thousands, there'll be tens of thousands that we can look at within your business and plug in. But fundamentally, the bit I'm quite excited about is looking at where you embed AI, generative AI into your business and actually customize it to make your business better. If you can make your business better, you can make the customer experience better, and that will then lead to new revenue opportunities. We can't go into this purely with efficiency, because that will only get us so far, and then everybody will be level playing field. The next stage then is to say, how do I differentiate myself in the market? How do I create new revenue and new opportunities with customers? And if you haven't got a plan, you're going to fall behind really quickly, in my view.
Interesting. Right, I know you're doing a lot of work in this space.
Yes, we are working last 10 years in this space together with our sister company Blindspot AI, and we see it as a big game changer, and especially in a moment when you connecting your own data with the engines such as ChatGPT and like others, and we see some incredible results in like a really short time. Yeah, but for example, one of the really like a nice example I saw was that you can upload all your like internal data, and through the generative AI you can ask different type of questions. So basically you can have a knowledge base also, let's say 8, 9, 10 years of the business and get immediate response. So this is something what really can speed up the process. And on a car point to the where you can bring values to the clients, I can see, for example, massive opportunity in a e-commerce world and in like a high level of personalization. So because again, when you are working with your existing data and you are, for example, go to the chat and write, okay, so last time I was testing this type of wines on whiskey and so on, and the mobile application can really recommend it very like a tailored product based on information, etc. And there is like so many different cases, but now it's really real. And I also believe that if company will just ignore it, so within those 6-12 months, they will have a challenge in compared with their competitors that really embrace it, testing, experiment, and something will be more great, something not, but they just utilizing these solutions.
So do you believe then that companies have to move now, or are companies able to sit and watch while the technology starts?
I really believe that companies should move now. But what is important, and I go back what Jen mentioned in the beginning, not build technology for technology. It has to be some business use case, either internally or externally. Do not get to the situation where we were with mobile application maybe 6 years ago, that companies want to build mobile apps, but not always it was connected with the use cases. So I think in the AI, either like you have your internal specialist, or it's good to have some trusted partners that can help you set up your AI strategy around generative AI or complex. And this is the important.
So do we have enough people in the industry? You know, 2 years ago we didn't have enough technologists to service customers' needs. Do we have these, are these people available? Do we have the skill set right now in the market to support customers? Because if we're saying all customers need to start driving and looking at this technology, do we have the skill set available?
Yes.
That's a great question. Yes.
Yes, we definitely have the skill sets, because if anything, this enables more skill sets, and it's not actually new for a lot of us. It's new in the way we actually implement this, and if anything, life is easier to implement because so much is done for us already with part of the large language models that have been produced by OpenAI, Google, and others. You may have seen actually last night that the big Accenture announced $3 billion investment over the next 3 years in this space, with 80,000 people being brought into their technology and data division to focus on building generative AI into their clients' requirements.
Yeah, I personally think it's fascinating. It's just going to open a whole new industry of jobs and opportunities over the next 3 or 4 years. I think it's fascinating. John, coming back to you, you obviously spend a lot of time with clients. Where are you on this in terms of clients embracing Gen AI and starting to use it in their business?
Yeah, I mean, we'd be remiss if we don't mention the sort of the fear element to this as well, and regulation. I think it's very interesting with this particular technology that there are voices of concern from the industry itself that have really shone out. Regulation always is on catch up with new technologies, and that's not a surprise really, but it's just those voices of concern from within the industry. And I think that shows the real power of this. To be honest, it puts an extra spotlight on where this can go and the value it can bring. I'll come back to the sort of gap thing, and Radek mentioned it as well. Those who aren't getting to grips with this stuff and seeing that applicability or being able to act on adding this into their business will fall behind, because others will create better experiences more efficiently, and it will be hard to compete. So we're gonna see this more and more, that there will be people who are able to move and those that aren't. And I think there's a job for agencies to really help those that are at those earlier stages with the relevant insight training. We need to make sure that everyone in industry has the right skills. I know what Carl says is true about it not being difficult, but we just need to make sure people aren't left behind there, because it will impact a lot of different industries and so on, if there are just a few big companies at the top that are really driving everything forward.
So looking at the poll then, if you're part of the 7 that have said not yet but plan to or no, I guess you guys need to, after this call, maybe start thinking about it, and talk to either your agencies or anyone on the panel. I'm sure everyone's keen to help.
Unless you're a plumber.
Good point. Just moving on then, Radek, what sort of AI use cases are you looking at with your customers at the moment?
Yeah, we saw, I think, some great examples from these like a big companies, like for example, Adobe Photoshop, that now you can just from text prompt to create designs on like a bracelet, etc., rather than design it. So again, something around the efficiency. What we see as a big topic is like utilize your existing data and trying to be as personal as possible. So we can see that AI can really drive the personalization. It can be either some chatbot really like a relevance ones. It can support the customer service, etc. But what I saw some really nice example we discuss now is, for example, when you are, I don't know, let's say selling the computers and you want to, you just ask for some type of configuration and so on. Again, you can get a really like a relevant products. So this is, for example, one of the angle we are now discussing with the clients lot, and like another part is like a general discussion about the efficiency, etc. How we can implement AI in our processes and how to put all this information from the document on one place and how to work with this, etc. I think the big part always here is this consultancy, so not this just engineering and do the work, but it's always about the strategy to understand what type of goals client have, or help them to define these goals, and just to find the best avenue how to get there, ideally in as short time as possible, because now it's possible to do things much more quicker than maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah, interesting. And Carl, you just coming back to you guys, CI&T focusing on specific aspects of AI?
Yeah, as I sort of mentioned a bit already, one area is the entire product life cycle. So a lot of focus around epics to product stories. How can we speed those up? We're seeing a massive change there, where you can literally write your epics and have stories well written within seconds, through to development, and then QA testing, which we're seeing a big part of QA right now, where we can really make a difference there. I'd say on some of the use cases, helping customer service agents, got some trials running at the moment, which is making a big difference. So that's enabling your customer service team to be more efficient with questions. The next stage for that is then obviously automation for the customer directly. Got some trials running with patient journeys in healthcare in North America at the moment, which on patient triage, which is actually really, I'm really quite excited by that as well, because I was actually on a panel yesterday at London Tech Week, and there was a conversation about nurses being more important than doctors in the future, because they provide the care where generative AI has the answer for many of the doctors. But you look at that patient journey and taking patients in the right direction, I'm seeing some really good things there. And then I say, outside of that, personally, I'm very interested in, I'm quite passionate about the education side and learning. I think we can all learn, all of us can, a lot more from this, and there's a lot of positive to be seen around education as well.
Interesting. Hannah, how about you guys? You obviously mentioned your use case previously with your Indian customer. Are you looking at this elsewhere?
Yeah, we're using it. I think the references that the others used this morning for RFPs, getting ahead with pitches. I think the process of wireframing and doing mocks for customers, again, putting real text in, like, whereas any creative on the anyone that's dealt with a creative as well will be sent wireframes with lorem ipsum throughout the whole thing. And I think we're just using ChatGPT and like the content filler to kind of give like a nearly finished result before our copywriters come in and give it the tone of voice, to match up. So it's kind of like putting in all the facts that you need, where it's just getting that design clarity a little bit faster with the clients. Pitches, it's really helped. Like, we were able to generate loads of different ideas recently for a pitch that they went, this is the best pitch we've ever seen, and I was like, ooh, I feel like I cheated for at least one section of that. But again, it's embracing it, right? It's building on the ideas that you've got, and if you're putting in 3 ideas, it can generate 5 more that are in the same kind of stance. So we've been using it just to speed up our research, to speed up the RFP process, and get our clients to understand what those first designs are actually trying to show them from a content perspective, and then for imagery generation at the moment, like I mentioned earlier.
Yeah, interesting. I guess from an agency perspective, it's a game changer for RFPs, right? Suddenly days and
It's
weeks.
important right now. We all need to
of,
close some more business, right?
When we hit RFP season in July, when everyone goes on holiday, or the clients go away and ship the RFPs, they could be done in about 20 minutes. So yeah, happy days.
Maybe not 20 minutes, but let's push for that. Let's push
exactly.
for that.
That'll be in the future, the third generation. John, coming to you, are you talking to your customers about their use of AI?
Yeah, we are, and you know, I mean, I think to Carl's point a bit earlier, you know, the basics are about creating efficiencies, about sort of getting a sort of tool there in the first place to help people do things a bit faster, but we're starting to see where you can create, you know, better experiences and different experiences. You know, a couple of years ago, I was with a team making a product like a drink using AI, and it was sort of putting all the different ingredients, botanicals together, and then coming up with a design and the name and all the sort of comms and so on around it. You know, doing that now would be another level, and you know, product development using AI is something that, you know, a lot more people are looking at. I think where, you know, at the moment we're at the stage where it is just a tool to then help with the manual sort of layer on top. You know, at some point we can automate a lot more of this stuff, particularly once it really understands, you know, us as individuals or our company, and, you know, having the voice of our company. And when it gets to real automation in that space, then I think it will be a different ball game entirely. But yeah, we're going back to what I was saying earlier. It's about what's appropriate at what time. You know, people are always excited by some of the cool things they can do, but it might not be the right thing to do right now for that particular business. So we have an element of holding them back sometimes on chasing some of this stuff if it's not right for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so just moving the conversation on, how do we support clients moving forward? Obviously, you know, a lot of us are agency side here. We've all got a wide range of customers. How do we now hold their hands and lead them on this journey? Because a lot of them will be in the same place they were probably 10 years ago when they were looking at digital and how to embrace digital. How do we make them make sense of help them make sense of this, and make it meaningful for them? Maybe start with you, Radek.
Yeah, I think now it's more important than ever. Really have a close partnership with the client, sitting by the one table, and yeah, basically starting to craft ideas together. And because now there's this like a game-changing moment. There is maybe not enough skills from a client perspective. They are very often, what we saw with our clients, very pushed from the like a leadership management to start to do something. So they are in kind of sometimes weird situation. They need to start to do something quickly, but they just don't know where to start or why, etc. So I think this our role as the agency should be somebody that can guide them, brainstorm, consult them, and so on, and just helping them to go through this interesting new era that basically all the companies starting kind of from the 0.0 now. So yeah, that's how I feel about it.
I jump in there if you want there, Radek. I agree with that. I mean, I've been looking at this because the speed you can move at with this is essentially one day, get the team together and come out with some use cases that can make a difference. 1 week, get your prototype built, understand what it is, circle it around and see if it's there. Within a month, get that embedded within your business, and within 3 months, get the results and see where you are. And you can do that. It's not impossible. I've been doing it now for 3 months with clients, so I know you can do it and really think like that. That's the kind of speed you'll look at. 1 week, 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, 3 months, and then you'll get to your results quickly, and then start working on it and work with a partner that knows what they're doing, can help you, that's trusted, that's guiding. Don't try and do it on your own. It'll take too long. And that's really where you want to get to. And then, you know, build those skills in-house yourselves over time, and make sure you can then continue to embrace that journey. But always keep aligned with at the board level, and always make sure you've got that culture of change within your business.
So fostering innovation. Yeah, absolutely. Hannah?
I think one example that jumps to mind, like we've, off Carl's point, it's that fast prototyping, things like that. We've just started working with The Economist on productizing their digital suite that they're selling other clients. So they need things that they can take to their sponsors and sell on. It's the same with agencies. We do this with annual reports as well, where it's like fixed products with fixed lead times, fixed prices, that again, it's off the shelf, and developing those so that it reduces the sales cycle so that you can just like act on it super fast. And with The Economist, we've called this thing a creative sprint, where we work with the design team and get one problem. So to what Carl was just saying, you get one problem that they want to tackle with digital experiences. We go away and do 1 day of ideation with our team. We come back, show them and say, okay, which out of the 5 ideas is more close to where you're thinking? And you have another 2 days to ideate that further and come up with wireframes and prototypes. And then the final 2 days is actually coming up with a template or a product that they can take to market. So within 5 days, they've got a new product to take. And we do that with agencies as well. And I think it's just sort of looking at productizing your suite, that that there's a lot of things you can do, and a lot of your clients will have the same needs. So what can you look at internally to come up with your kind of set toolbox that you can take to the market? And it's that efficiency thing. Like if you can use AI, if you can use technology, if you can use digital thinking, you need people on your team that are creative thinkers to do that. And I think, Vinny, we talked about this the other day. It's like you need the talent of having these people on your team that can think outside the box, but then make it a commercial again. And I think the struggle is, when you're interviewing people, to get those thinkers in your team is probably more important than the tech that you're going to start using. Because John, to your point, like all of this stuff exists, but if you can't utilize it with the people that understand it, that's going to be the problem. So people's jobs aren't a problem. You just need to know how to adapt the technology with thought and creativity for the best result. So that's how we're using it. It's using the tools to be more efficient, but creativity is never going to be dead, because you have to come up with something new. And ChatGPT is based on old data already, right? It's not going to come up with that new stuff. So that's where you need people that are thinkers and problem solvers to adapt it. So I think that's where our focus is, to make the change with clients, that it's building those relationships, to what Radek said, like it's relationship building, so that your clients and you are on the same page, you understand their problems, so you understand their gaps, then you can fill it with technology. But if you don't know what the gap is, and you're just going, oh, you could use AI for this, it's not relevant at all. So it's still that building connections with people, and meetings are not dead. Go for coffee with people, go for people for a beer, understand people when they're not in a commercial setting. Like that is going to allow you to see through some of the corporate jargon to actually be able to help. So we're focusing on that. It's face-to-face workshops, asking them what success looks like, asking those cheesy questions to get written things. Because if you're doing all of this problem solving when you don't know what their bosses are marking them on, it's not going to help. So face-to-face is the way forward, and then apply the tech after would be my suggestion.
Very good, very good. And finally, John, if we come to you with this, with that question as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think it does come back to culture. Like it's been mentioned before. I think if you've got the right mindsets in an organization about where technology could go for them, and that openness, then that's a great start. And then it's about equipping them with the right skills and processes and internally. That then gives you so much power. You are able to do rapid prototyping and the sort of development sort of timescales that Carl mentioned, and you are able to progress. I think every organization that is like, maybe they don't want to go too near digital investments because they've been burned in the past, or they don't have enough skills within the business, or digital isn't sort of seen as all encompassing, not at a higher enough place on the board. These sort of challenges just slow everything down, and meanwhile technology is moving. So get the right culture and attitude, and then the rest will follow.
Brilliant, really good. Carl?
Yeah, do you want me to? I'm happy to answer that question as well, that Ashley's posted in there as well, around around product development and intellectual property. I think the important thing to realize here with generative AI is that it is generating new content. So this is a model that is looking at patterns and structures of what it has learned from existing data, but it is generating, hence the word generative, new and original, sometimes completely different outputs depending on the complexity of the model. So it's using this training data. So in that example that John was using there around drinks, it's using all the different drinks types there are. You are then saying maybe there's something you want to pull in together with weather or where people are or what's happening or something like that. It's then saying these are all the different types of mixtures that are there. I'm now going to create something new for you given this other input data. So yes, it could come out with something that's happened before, and that's like in anything we do. We have to do an IP check on any business. However, it's not necessarily generating something that's actually been generated before. It's using the data points from before to generate something new, and that's an important point with all of this. Of course, there's going to be legislation. Of course, there's going to be patent infringements and stuff like that, as there is every day. And I think it's important to look at generative AI as a co-pilot to what you're doing. Everything we're talking about is speeding things up, in that anyone here on this whole call today could get things wrong. It can get things wrong as well. It's not the holy grail, and you know, we work with it as a partner to help speed things up, but be aware of all the standard legislations that exist in each market.
Absolutely. It's worth remembering this is the worst generative AI we'll ever use. It'll only ever get better than this. So it's pretty awesome already. So always worth remembering that. It's a good segue into the questions. Please do ask some questions. David Foster, I'm looking at you. Lovely to have you on the call. Please do put some questions in. Stephen, do you want to be the question master?
Oh, yeah, I'm very happy to do that. Actually, I've got a question of my own. Carl, at the beginning of the session today, you spoke about just get on with it, just do it. You know, I could call it the Carl's Nike approach. It kind of seems counterintuitive to what people have done in the past, in the sense that, you know, a scope would be agreed, there'd be a formal process, and I kind of imagine that kind of attitude will probably scare the hell out of most IT directors and on this call, in terms of cost control, project creep, all that usual stuff. How do you kind of match the need to be able to move quickly with the reality that actually most corporate organizations can't?
Yeah, great question, and it always comes up all the time. I think the two key bits before that, as I mentioned before, get on with it, was alignment and culture. And if you haven't got alignment, number one, don't even dream of starting. You will never ever get there. You'll never ever win. So the alignment is the important thing, and that's, I say board level, but however your business is organized, it's everybody. You got to be aligned. You then got to have that culture, and I think John mentioned it before as well. And fostering that culture around change, and then get on with it. Because if you are spending time writing specs, and we know now, I mean, we've been through this transformation era for 10 years, that if you do work in a waterfall way, it will cost you more and you'll get less. All this data is there now. This is not new news. This is existing news. So those companies that are still trying to work in that way will only fail, because we've got all the data from the failure now. So it is about moving into that era. What I'm actually looking at separately now, what does a post-agile era look like? Because everything we talked about with generative AI actually changes a lot of the ways we've been working with the agile, but I'll park that for today, because that's the next thing that will come afterwards. But if you are thinking about scopes, you have not got alignment, and you're sitting there for months doing these things, your competition is already getting on with it, you've fallen behind.
Yeah, I agree.
And that kind of an adjunct to that, if I may, and don't want to hold the questions because I'm sure that lots of people have got questions, but the culture bit, and very often organizations will actually bring in a consultant basically to take on the project, to scope the project, to write the brief effectively, in the absence of being able to get any agreement internally themselves. That can be obviously a huge recipe for disaster, insofar as consultant is stacked against him or her, isn't it? The reality, actually, if you're brought into an organization, you don't know the politics, you don't know the structure, you don't know, ultimately, you may know some idea as to what they want to achieve, but, you know, how would you, John, and this one for you, because this is kind of what you do, and I guess you will do this to a certain extent, how do you cope with that situation? You know, when you're put through into an organization and there isn't clarity, or there isn't agreement.
I mean, that's often where consultants are brought in by someone who is frustrated internally that they can't get anything moving, and the independent consultant can often have it makes it easier to have those conversations at different stakeholders and try and find some common alignment. So I don't think there's anything about digital there that changes that situation. But yeah, I think in digital there are often people who have opposing views. Historically, through spending a lot on digital that hasn't gone anywhere, or they don't have the knowledge and they fear sort of stepping too much into an area that they're not confident on. So we see this all the time, and there's a lot of work just doing that. That's nothing to do with digital, but it's a big part of this to get that alignment. Yeah.
And if there isn't, walk away.
Yeah. I mean, that's absolutely
no point. There's no point.
Yeah. I mean, it's the irony is actually very often the actual alignment and the actual creation of the brief takes longer than the development of the actual tech.
Yes.
Thank you. No further questions.
Good stuff. Is anyone else from the floor? Any other questions? We'd love some more questions. We've got a couple of minutes left.
I'm actually going to just chip in on that last subject. A recent engagement I had was one where lots of legacy systems around, lots of legacy owners of legacy systems, and again, lack of alignment across a number of different operating companies. So it was kind of a fun environment to get thrown into, but ultimately I walked away because there was just no alignment and it was not going to happen. And so that alignment and culture is just so important. And, all of those, let's say, sacred cows that are out there to be identified, and again, just trying to pull everybody together to get them in the right direction. So important.
Yeah, you're not wrong. David, you've raised your hand.
Yeah, so this seems to be a bit of a topic here. I mean, I suppose it's really incumbent on the agency to a degree to hold the client's hand a bit, take them through this journey, because you might be dealing with somebody that actually doesn't have the technical level of understanding. So there has to be, it's incumbent on you. You're talking about a situation where alignment, but you've got to walk them through that process and get them to the point they want to be, because they don't have that technical level that you guys have. And I think that's really important. Fundamentally, you just don't want to make them look stupid. Within the company and also within their peer group. So I think it's incumbent on all the agencies to do that hand-holding operation as part of the process.
Absolutely right, David. And people need to be. I'd say that when you're bringing in an agency, consultant, whatever, you've got to think of them as a partner, not as a supplier. I know the supplier, I know it works that way, but you've got to set your business up and again be aligned to bring those people in and to listen and believe in what they're saying and challenge the agency or consultant on their experience of where this happened before, because most things aren't new. They've all happened before. So ask people, say, where has it happened? How have they solved those things? What are those problems? But treat them as a partner and actually listen to them and grab that expertise and then build that expertise within your business as well. You've got to have that expertise in your business as well. You can't just rely on agencies or consultants.
And I think that's where it comes back to the fundamental that no computer is going to be able to build that trust for you. Like, they need to be able to trust you. You need to trust them that you're working in your lane and doing the best thing that you can. And that comes from personal relationships and understanding and asking the questions and like doing the active listening bit. So that's not going to replace human beings for that. And that's why you come to an agency partner or a consultant or to an expert of any degree. It's building trust, which is not going to be done with AI, I don't think.
Absolutely. At the end of the day, you still need people. Brilliant. And on that note, listen, just like to say thank you very much to the panel for their contributions and obviously the audience. I'm going to pass back to Stephen. He's got a couple of I think church notices before we wrap up. But thank you for joining this morning.
So just so you know, this video will be available. We'll send it to you tomorrow, and you can by all means share it with colleagues and friends. Also, our next Marketing Spice Live is only 2 weeks away or 3 weeks away, on the 5th of July, and the subject is making digital marketing sustainable. So there's a link there. If you'd like to join us, please do. You'll find hopefully again an august panel of experts on sustainable digital and the growing side. It came up earlier on, didn't it? One of the questions. It's quite interesting to see actually a number of people are now focused on this. So have a great day, and thank you once again to our panel and to Vinny for leading it. It's been great to have you here, and for all of you for joining us. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.